Hello, guys. Welcome back to another episode of the Girls Lounge with your hosts Liz and KT. Hopefully, this episode makes it out of the recording studio. Riverside's looking really weird today, but we're coming back to you guys with another episode. It's gonna be kind of more of a deeper topic this week. It's gonna be all about overcoming our insecurities. I know we just kind of bullet pointed our insecurities, and we're just gonna kind of talk off the dome later when we get to it. But for now, we're gonna get into our life update. So really, ever since the last update, I've just been working on resetting, getting my life back together. Since Chicago, I am not a party person. I do not go out every day of the week, and not even in the sense of like going out like to the club or whatever, but like even just like going out and like doing activities every day. So like Chicago whooped my butt, and I was exhausted, and like literally I got home like 15 to 10 minutes right before my first class, which is honestly good because it gave me like no time for me to like get lazy. And so I just like hopped right back into things. And so I just literally took this whole weekend to be like chill mode, didn't go nowhere, didn't do anything, and just rested. But now I feel really good going into this next week. I want to get back into like my workout routine, being more active, and just taking care of myself. But it's always important to to find that balance and stuff like that. But yeah, I've just been resetting, and yeah.
Yes, I also I since we last recorded, like since we got back, it's literally only it hasn't even been a full week actually. Tomorrow will be a full week, and that's actually crazy to me because I was like looking, I was like, why do I feel like it's such a not even a slump, but just like a slump, I guess, because I was like, I'm behind on posting on the podcast TikTok and everything, and it's like my mind is still adjusting, and also with like the time change and everything, like the whole like fall back an hour and just getting dark out earlier because like right now we're recording and it's not even like super late, but it feels like I should be getting ready to go to bed soon, but it's not like breaking the fourth wall here. It's only like 7 p.m, you guys. So like really just like adjusting to the whole time change, it really does do it for me because my days feel so long. I was talking to Kenny about that, but other than that, I haven't really had many life updates. Just I have finally, my study abroad credits have finally transferred over. Only took them like 4 months or something. You about to be like the end of like the fall semester. So, but I finally got an update on my like checkout cart on like my email and everything, and it said that my diplomas have been like approved or whatever, and they're gonna get released at the end of the month, I think is what it said, like November 25th. So hopefully sometime by December they mail them out. But that's exciting, finally. I feel like once I like see the actual physical diploma, it's when it's gonna feel like, oh, like that's real, like this is real. And then my other little life update is, if you guys have been listening to the podcast, back in like August when I mentioned that I had been applying to some jobs and everything, and I was like, if you guys never hear me mention this again, nothing came out of it. It was just kind of like a shot in the dark, get it out of my mind, out of sight, out of mind. If it's going to be, it's going to be. But on one of those jobs, I actually moved on to the final stage of the like interview process. So I'm not going to say what it is until something happens. But basically there's like a couple like not interview, but there's I don't know, steps in the process or whatever. So it's like submitting your application. Then after that, you like move on to a virtual interview that's not like with an actual person, but it's kind of like prompts and it's like recorded. So you got to do that. And then after that, you move on to an in-person interview. And earlier this week, I got an email saying that I had been like moved on to the in-person part of it. I haven't gotten like anything like scheduled yet because it is like, they said that there's gonna be some delays because of like the amount of people that applied and everything. But I finally told my mom about it because I literally hadn't told like anyone about it. So she's the only person that like knows what it is that I applied to. So if you guys hear another update, then I'll update you guys on like if it goes good or bad, and I'll tell you what it is once I find out like if I got rejected or not. So yeah, that's my little life updates.
Hey, we are also happy for you, Liz, and we hope we're gonna manifest that you get this job. And listen, if you don't, we know bigger things, bigger and better things are coming your way. And I hope I get that energy when it's my time to start applying for jobs in the next couple of months, because I get scared about all the TikToks I see about the job market. But yeah, I'm very happy for you, Liz.
Yes, we are spreading all that good positivity, and that's like my mindset with this. If it's meant to be, it's gonna work out, and if not, I gave it a shot, and it just wasn't what it was supposed to be. So sending all of that energy to anybody else, any listeners that are also in the process of like applying for jobs and everything.
And now we're gonna get into our faves of the week. So I'm actually gonna change mine like on the spot. It was gonna be my ceiling fan, but that was when it was like hot in Kentucky and like the sun was literally making my house so hot. And like we already have the heat on, so we're not turning on the air. But it's actually freezing now and the heat's not doing anything, so I'm changing my mind. So it's actually gonna be something I'm wearing. And if you're watching, I have two rings on that I got in Chicago. One ring is like a white cream stone ring, and the other one is like a pinkish, kind of skin tone-ish stone ring as well that we got from like this little store in Chinatown. And yeah, I really love them. I feel like over like the past like year or so, I was like really getting into like buy my jewelry, having my statement every day. But I feel like I've kind of like strained from that just because I've like recently been like in that mood where it's like I don't want anything on me, um, except for like my earrings. But I'm like I feel like I'm slowly getting into that again, and I want to buy more rings and like specifically chunky rings. So wearing these and buying these like re-inspired me to like get back into like my jewelry kick again. I want to get some like chunky like bracelets too. I really like that look. So yeah, here is to getting back on my jewelry journey again.
And then my favorite of the week is my heater. You guys, as Kennedy said, it is getting cold. You know, currently as we're recording, it's kind of like snowing, but not snowing. Like it's that weird snow where it hits and it melts and it's just like rain. So it's cold. And I'm pretty sure it's just gonna get colder this week. So in my house, in many households, they now have the heat turned on. In my household, we aren't there yet. My dad refuses to turn on the heat. He was literally making a joke to one of my mom's friends about how like it's like winter and like your body needs to get used to the winter. Like you don't want it's not summer anymore, you know? So like I was just staring at him like, and then earlier we went to go eat and he was like really cold. And then my mom was like, it's not going to be any warmer in the house because yeah, our house has no like heat actually turned on. But I went downstairs to the basement the like 2 weeks ago when it was like really cold in here and I got the little heater. So I just turn it on and it feels so nice because you feel like almost feels like the sun rays in the summer like hitting your skin. So it's very warm, you know. I will say this past week I didn't have to turn it on because honestly I didn't feel bad. But I feel this upcoming week with this like snow in the forecast and everything, the heater will come in handy. I'll update you guys on when the heat gets turned on because I don't think it'll be anytime soon.
Honestly, that would probably be my dad if me and my mom weren't home the most. He would be like, nope, air is gonna be on because that man likes to live in the freezing cold.
Yeah, it really be that way sometimes with dads.
And now onto Sports Corner. We have a lot to talk about today. Was the Brazil Grand Prix, and this race never disappoints. So one quick little note: the drivers' parade. I saw like the clips on it on my Instagram feed, and it just looks so funny. It was like the same vibes as the Lego cars, except it was like miniature, kind of vintage looking replicas of like the F1 cars kind of, or like the theme, the branding of the teams. And it was just like so funny to see like who was paired together. I think Kimmy and George's car broke down, so then so George had to get in Max and Yuki's car, which I was like, that is hilarious. You got the two people who hate each other most in the same car. Like, y'all ate with that. And I just seeing all the clips of everyone just driving, and just I saw the Ferrari Charles was driving. They don't went into the grass. I'm like, oh Lord. I just love seeing stuff like that because it's just like the drivers get to just have fun and stuff. Because I'm sure the drivers parade probably isn't like the most exciting thing they want to do if there's not any fun element for them. So that was really funny. But yeah, this race was a sprint weekend, so it was a lot to talk about. The sprint ways the sprint race itself. So Liam and Ollie had a little collision. I feel like the biggest talking points from that race is Oscar, he went into the wall. So basically what happens, there was some water like on a certain corner. I think at this point the actual track was like kind of drying, but there was water in the corner and Oscar was kind of up on that corner. And with that water just caused him to, kind of spin out into the wall. And then behind him was Franco and Hulkenberg, and they also hit that same corner. So it's just literally like a domino effect. It's like Oscar hits the wall, then here comes Franco, I believe, and then Hulkenberg is just like, oh my gosh. what is happening? And then later in the race, it was literally like the last lap, Bortoleto had a major crash. I like actually rewatched the sprint race highlights, and it seemed like Bortoleto went to make a move on the inside, but he was late to brake, which then caused him to lose control. And like the crash was really scary. It's insane how you just see these cars just kind of like honestly just like fall apart and crumble at that high of impact. And he hit the wall and then bounced from to the other side of the track and hit that wall again. And it was insane. And you can just like hear the hit of the crash, and it's just like amazing that like he walked away from that. So good on F1 cars getting safer and safer as the years go on. And also insane that like the drivers behind him didn't mess up as well. Quick reaction time. But yeah, I was glad he got out of that safely.
Yes, I feel like I've seen all the different angles of that crash, and it's actually insane because at the speed that they're going, and then like with kind of like a slick track and everything, and then just like flying and everything, yeah, the car literally like it just crumples, like it just comes apart, and obviously, but it's crazy how like it's only the sides of it, and like the middle of it is still like where the driver's at is like the safest part of it, I guess. It just really like puts into perspective like how dangerous, like yes, it is fun to watch like these F1 races and like all like the fun part about it and like getting to see the drivers, but like they really do be putting their lives at risk every single race, just like the speeds that they're going, and it can be very like catastrophic and everything. So like glad that he's okay, but the clips, every single angle I've seen, crazy that like how the cameras caught that.
And now onto quali. Honestly, usually we never have notes for quali because honestly nothing really out of the ordinary happens in quali. But this time it was a shock Q1 exit for both Red Bulls, which is actually insane. Honestly, even for Yuki, because I feel like recently, I don't know what they have done to the car, but like he's been in like Q2, sometimes Q3. So for both Ferraris to be, or both Red Bulls to be out in Q1, I was like, wow. Like even Max, like they just simply did not have the pace, which was a little surprising. It was not a good qualifying for Hamilton either. He was out in Q2. I mean, every week we see the Ferrari struggling. I'm just like, surely next year we get a better car for these two drivers. But yeah, and then the results of quali were Norris, he was on pole. Kimi was second place and Leclerc was third, which I was very happy about. And I feel like a lot of people, at a certain point of the year, Kimi wasn't doing the best, and people had a lot to say about Kimi and like, did Mercedes make the right choice? But Kimi is proving everybody wrong. And same with Lando about being the driver's championship, because here he is. He's showing up, being consistent, doing what he needs to do, and I love it.
Yes, I was so happy for Kimmy. You guys know I love Kimmy. So happy to see him up there because he has been like struggling a little bit. Not even struggling, but he just hasn't been performing as he was at the beginning of the season where he was like on the podium like almost every other race. So really happy to see him up there. And then of course, Charles, he had like the engagement, he got up there, and then the race happened. So that perfect transition into the race, you guys.
Which, side note for me, speaking of Charles' engagement, I did not realize that like Charles had like an engagement ring too. Because I saw a clip of him showing like his ring to Alex Albon, and I was like, oh wait, I did not realize he wore a ring too. I like that.
So that was the first time I saw that when they're like looking at his ring. I was like, wait, did they already get married or something?
Yeah, I did not know engagement rings for men were a thing, but now that I do, my future man will be having an engagement ring. But onto the race. So Lando had a good start, which of course I was very happy about. Lap 2, there's already chaos. Bortoleto, he hit the wall, and due to that, it caused a safety car, and he DNF'd. And so then, they were behind the safety car for a couple laps, and then in lap 5 was the restart, and that was more chaos. So what happened was Leclerc, Kimi, and Oscar, they were all like lined up, like boom, boom, boom. And they were all going down the main straight, and they were all, 3 cars can't fit going down into turn 1. So it looks like it was mostly going to be a battle between Kimi and Oscar. Oscar was in on the inside, and Oscar, he kind of tried to go for the move. He locked up, which caused him to bump into Kimi, which then caused Kimi to hit into Leclerc, which Leclerc got a lot of damage from that. Unfortunately, like, Leclerc, you was just at the wrong place at the wrong time. Like, you was just an innocent bystander and they took you out. Like, I was not okay. So yeah, his like wheel came off and it was like crazy because it's like it came off and then he like was kind of like go back on the track again with no wheel. He just saw like all the sparks. So that was crazy. And then so that ended with Leclerc DNF, like I said, and then Oscar did get a 10-second penalty, which is like understandable, I guess. I know Yuki got a 10-second penalty around the same time as well. I don't know if Liz has any thoughts about that.
That one, I saw the clips and I was like, wait, what is that on the what is that on the track? And I had to rewatch it and I was like, who's missing a tire? Like there's just a tire. And then I like rewatched it the third time and I was like, that's crazy how he just kind of like kept going. Like I would have thought, his car would have stopped because it's like uneven, it's missing a whole tire, but man just kind of kept going for a little bit. I was like, wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, he was thankfully able to like pull his car into like an area where it needed to go. So that was good. And then a couple laps later, Hamilton actually had a DNF as well. So not a good weekend for Ferrari. He had floor damage. I didn't mention this earlier, but he did have like a bit of a hit. Someone hit him earlier and like they kind of repaired it during like the first safety car, but then I just think, it just wasn't enough. So he did have to DNF. I'm very sad. I feel like Ferrari, they always have like really strong weekends and then weekends like this where it's just like, it's so sad to be a Ferrari fan sometimes. And then Max and Ollie Behrman, they had some really good drives this week. I feel like Behrman, he was looking very good this whole race. And then Max, may have started from the pit lane and finished P3. And I was like, period. If you listen, you probably know I have a rocky relationship with Max Verstappen. It's like, of course, I fell for the Drive to Survive edit. And, there's still some personality things. I'm like, not my favorite thing, but I will not deny that Max is a very, very, very talented, one-of-a-kind driver. And I think his win should be celebrated and his efforts should be talked about. And that was just really impressive. He had a really impressive drive at Brazil last year too. I'm pretty sure it was like the same situation. He was towards the back of the pack and then he won the race. So it was looking a little scary for Ollie at the end. I thought Max was maybe going to try to catch him. But overall, the race ended with Lando P1, Kimi P2, which is his second podium in F1, and then Max P3.
Yes, I think overall it was I feel like everybody was struggling. At some point, everybody was going through it. Some overcame these struggles, some did not overcome the struggles. But yeah, honestly, I think for my highlight is just because we're not going to talk about the Ferraris. That was just devastating. But Max coming from like the very back to being on the podium, like, man, he's going to come up there and he's going to like, when people are like doubting him, he's going to show it to them.
That part. And then for a quick points update. So, this race, I left with 241 points. Just a reminder, I had Oscar and Lance Stroll. So only got 4 points from Oscar being between 4th and 10th place. And then Elizabeth, she made it to the 200 club. Whoop! She is leaving this race with 201 points. She had Max Verstappen and Pierre Gasly. She got 15 points for 3rd place from Max. 3 points from both Max and Pierre for finishing ahead of teammate. And then 4 points from Pierre finishing between 4th and 10th place. Yeah, Liz is now in the 200s. So we'll see. It really takes some of us getting bad drivers or really good drivers to really, close the gap towards the end of the race. We got like 3 more races left. So I'm super excited to see, what's going to happen next. The next race is Las Vegas. So listen to next week's episode to see what drivers we will have for Vegas.
Now we're going to go ahead and get into what we've been watching because we don't have anything on pop culture, you guys. The pop culture world is dead. I don't know, they're in hibernation right now with the cold, but there's nothing to talk about. So we're just gonna go ahead and get into what we're watching. So we're gonna go over first the things that like we watch separately and then the things that we're both watching. So I've been watching a lot of YouTube this week, just catching up on like my comfort YouTubers because I feel like TV wise, I feel like there's nothing really out there. Like I like scroll through Netflix and I can't find anything. Like I have the shows obviously that I still haven't finished, but I feel like I'm just not in the mood for any of that. But in other news, you guys, I apologize for the person I'm about to become. Maxton Hall is finally out, season 2. And of course, they want to do the little like releasing episodes weekly, prime. I feel like their views might just be a little low after the summer I turned pretty and they're trying to get them back up. But they really had us, they teased us here. They gave us 3 episodes in one drop, and I watched all 3 episodes Friday night, you guys. I know Kennedy hasn't watched it yet, but you guys, it is so good. The acting is out of this world, especially Damien, the guy, the main one, James. He has some very like emotional scenes this season, and I am eating up every single moment of them. I immediately after I finished watching, I went and I started liking like all the edits. I started saving some. Like literally, if you look at my TikTok like likes, it's mostly all Maxton Hall edits. I thought episode 1 had like so much going on. Like literally everything happened in episode 1, and then episode 2 and 3 were kind of like slowing down the pace a little bit, which I personally do not mind at all. And we're really getting to see a little bit more of the characters. I like my favorite part is some of the friendships that we're seeing more of. But yeah, all I know is I will be sad for every single one of these Fridays when there's an episode release, and then you best believe when all of season 2 is out, I will be rewatching the entire thing because I absolutely love this show. So Kennedy needs to get on it and watch episodes 1 through 3.
Yes, Maxton Hall is on my to-do list in terms of watching for this week. Honestly, this was a couple of weeks ago, but I'm still going to talk about it. I watched I Know What You Did Last Summer, and honestly, I really liked it. It's the one, like the newest like remake of this movie, or like the newest addition to the story with like Madeline Klein, Reek Withers, the guy who was in The Little Mermaid. So I was like, that cast I'm watching, and it was like a really, like, it's very camp. Like, it's a very campy horror movie, so I really like it. And I'm pretty sure there's, with the way it ended, and there's like an end credit scene, I'm like, surely there's going to be a second movie. So I'll be excited for that. And then Severance, I'm on season 2, and you guys, this show is actually insane. Like, I understand why so many people talk about it. And I've started this like after I finished Stranger Things. So it's like exactly what I needed. Basically, like the show in short terms, to make it simple, is these people are part of this severance program at this company called Lumen, and where it's essentially like you're one person, but like your mind, like your memories are separated between work and your personal life. So literally, like, let's say my room is like my workspace for like the podcast. So it's like I have right now, I would not have any like outside recollection of like my personal, like anything about me, like my real name, if I had kids, my parents' name, my friends, what I like to do. So it's like you're only focused on work. And then as soon as I walked out my bedroom door, I have no recollection of work, and I just know my personal life for what it is. And so it's kind of really interesting because it's like, I'm like, this program is low key flawed because it's called your innies and your outies. Your innies are like who's at work, and your outie is obviously you outside. And it's kind of flawed because like it seems like all the outies, they kind of want like they have their own autonomy, and I'm like, that's where the program is flawed because like I feel like, how can you really control your person to like want to stay, have this be their whole life, even if you, the outie, kind of want to have that separation. So it's very interesting. And the whole premise of the show, I guess, is like to find out like what really are they working on. So that's what we're still trying to find the answer to in season 2. And I'm sad for this journey because I'm just like, what are y'all doing at Lumen? Nothing makes sense. Cause like the work that they're working on is like coded. So like they don't really know what they're working on. And I don't know, it's a very interesting show. So if you're into that type of show, definitely look into it. And then I finished watching all of season 2 of Nobody Wants This. Can't believe people are hating on it. So good. I loved it just as much as I loved season 1. I will say there was one thing that had me shook at the ending, not in like a bad way, but I was like, oh, I can't believe this is happening right now. So, and I saw it already got renewed for season 3, and I'm like, yep, give it to me now. I need it now. And the last thing that I've watched that's like different from Elizabeth is The Real Housewives of Potomac. I'm on season 3. I just love The Real Housewives, like any of them. Potomac, New Jersey, New York City, Beverly Hills, love them all. If you're a fellow Bravo girl, hit me up so we can talk all things Bravo.
And then the thing that we're both watching is, of course, Dancing with the Stars. And then this past week was, I guess it was rock and roll night. Some of the songs I was like, I don't know if I would consider that rock and roll that much, but anyways, I don't listen to rock and roll, so I guess that they were all rock and roll. But I feel like our only real thoughts are the eliminations. Once again, Andy's still there. We lost a real one. for Andy. Yeah, that's all I have to say right now.
I mean, you already know how I feel about Auntie. And it just prompted this little rant scene that I just hate how no matter what age, what situation you're in, a woman will always have to show up 10 times harder than a man will for any type of respect or just like audience, like just like people love them. It's just like it's insane that Elena is only 4 years younger than him, and she does not get the like half of just the fan love and respect that Andy does. And I've seen some TikToks where they're like the judges are scoring Andy too high, and I believe that 100%. His dances are not 7 out of 10 worthy, and it's just annoying how people are just kind of treating him like he's this older man, that he's just so cute and sweet and funny. But we have Elaine, whose ribs literally seized up, and Danielle, who battled cancer, and Jen, who was postpartum. Just, they don't even have half of what Andy has, and it's just insane to me. I'm just like, what? And I feel like a part of that is like makes you want to root for Whitney harder. It's like, which I don't know how that would make sense, but it's just like, I don't know. I'm going to root for someone talented and loved, and not someone who's loved but's not talented. You know what I mean? Like, I love talented people. Like, I understand. Basically, what I'm trying to say is I'm going to root for talented people no matter how popular they are, but popularity won't ever let me root for someone who's mediocre, if that makes sense.
Because I am so scared for Elaine this next coming episode, which when the podcast drops will be like a little behind. If you guys are like, wait, you know, but I'm really really scared for her. And you know, after, I feel like the inevitable is gonna happen, and she might get voted off. And I'm like, if that happens, who's next? Because don't tell me you guys are gonna risk these like Jordan, Alex, Robert, you're gonna risk them for Andy. Like, how far are the Andy stands willing to take this is what I want to know. I really want to know, how far are they willing to go, because the time is over. Like, we're almost at the end of the season of the show, and we should be getting to like people that are almost getting like perfect scores, you know, instead of staying at a 21, because they haven't moved higher than 21, I feel.
That part. And it's like, I don't even understand like this like trolling aspect that these people on TikTok have, because there's some people who are legit like, I don't even watch this show, but I'm just voting for Andy just because. Like, they literally just like set a timer for 8 o'clock, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna vote. And like they're not even fans of the show. They're not watching the show. And I just can't understand liking someone that much to do that. Like, I genuinely don't understand it when there's so much other deserving people. And I'm not saying that Andy's not talented in general, but he's just not talented at dancing, and that's fine. Why are you guys trying to ruin a dancing show? Like, I don't understand why, out of everything in this world, y'all want to put y'all's voting energy towards Dancing with the Stars. Like, it really does not make sense to me.
It just really shows me, like, I see how elections are flawed and how we get the results that we have right now.
That part. And now we're gonna get into Song of the Week. My song is Where's My Husband by Ray. I have been listening to that a lot. I even sung it to my friends on our trip, and spectacularly, may I add. So the song's so good, I didn't really know which part to add or which part to like play for you guys, but I'll just play this little line for you guys. Mwah. Chef's kiss. So go listen to it right now if you haven't already.
Spectacularly is one way to put the singing. So my song of the week is Nice to Each Other by Olivia Dean. I have been an Olivia Dean stan these past couple of weeks. I love her music, and it's just perfect vibes all around. So this one is Nice to Each Other. I think I already said that, but here's a part of it. We could be nice to each other, nice to each other. And that's my song of the week.
And now we're going to get into the topic of our episode, and that is our insecurities, and all just about like what they are, if we've overcome them, if not, like how we are in the process kind of dealing with them and things of that nature.
Yes, and I think this is going to be more so like a setup of just us getting things off of our chest, because literally on our outline, normally like we're like pretty outlined. We're pretty detailed in like what we put on there, you know, just to not like lose track of our thoughts. But for this episode, we literally just have the insecurities and no else. And I feel like honestly, that just like really shows like how insecurities like be impacting us, because I feel like if you write too much about it, it kind of like, I know some people are like, you own it, like you reclaim it. I feel for me personally, it just kind of like overtakes me if I put like all the words that I feel associated towards it.
Yeah, it's almost like coming, like being faced with the truth. I'm like, I'm not ready to be faced with the truth, but my method is I'm gonna start with like the most hard hitting insecurity to like one that's like, it bothers me, it's an insecurity, but it doesn't necessarily overtake my life. So I'm gonna start first because I want to get this over with. And I will say this is one that I recently would say that I have overcome, but I'll explain to that. But that is my hair. And I feel like this might sound very superficial to some people. It's like, how could you be insecure about your hair? But I'll kind of explain. So I feel like overall, with women in general, no matter your race, hair is very much a part of your identity as a woman. Like, it's like part of you, it's like part of your personality. It's kind of how you express yourself. And then specifically within the Black community, there's so much history with our hair, whether that's like when they would like braid like routes to go free in their hair, or like hide food in there, or just like expressing themselves, or just do different hairstyles because some hairstyles might be seen as ghetto or da 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 da. Like you have your certain hairstyles as kind of like a protection in the way. Hair for a lot of people, a lot of women, just has very deep meaning. So with me, I would say just growing up, I would say more so in like middle school and high school. That was really when I was like, learning how to do my hair by myself for the first time. So like it obviously didn't look the best, but I was doing what I could do at the time. And it just didn't help because I would have a lot of opinions coming from people. And it was like, they try to say that they were being helpful, but it was like not helpful. It was just like being mean. Like it was kind of like they just said something to me so they could say something, but it's like this is not coming from a place of like care, like actually being helpful. And I feel like even then, like middle school, like it was like, I don't know, like that's when I first started wearing braids at some point. I was like, okay, like I really like this hairstyle. But then when I had like my natural hair, that was kind of when I struggled because again, no one around me had like my hair, so no one could really teach me. So it was just kind of a lot. And it's like people would tell me, well, just like look it up on YouTube, but it's like I'm not interested in that. And I just watch mostly white people at that time. So it's like, how can they help me? You know what I mean? And like, I didn't know what I wanted. Because again, how are you supposed to know what to look for when people aren't helping you guide you to where you're going? And then I feel like a big part where it really became an insecurity was it was freshman year. And these were people that I was friends with at the time. I've kind of like talked about this friendship in like, what do you say? Like not specifically, but kind of like, I referenced it where it's just like was not a good friendship. And I had like just taken out my hair. And literally the only problem with my hair was it was just a little uneven. I needed a haircut. And that night, we had like a cheer game. And the next day I got this text at lunch, and basically they're like, yeah, us and our moms are talking about it, and basically long story short, they're just like, your hair looks like crap and we're embarrassed to be around you. Like you need to like do better, like we're embarrassed, and like we just want you to look good. And they like try to gaslight me about it later, and they're like, I'm sorry you feel that way, but like I hope you would do the same to me. Like that was kind of like the vibe it was about. And so of course, how old am I at that time? I'm 14. So like of course that is really gonna hurt my feelings. Like these are people I thought like, oh, we're supposed to be like best friends, we're together all the time, our parents are really close, or at least our moms are really close. So it's like, it's hard to get away from. So long story short, that really caused a lot of insecurities with my hair. And so fast forward to now, I would say I'm in a lot better place about it over the years. Not even comments from them, but just from like people. I don't want to get too specific, but just like people, it's just like, why are you just so worried about my hair? And like that's just so shallow. Cause I just think about like my friendship with my friends now. It's like I hang out with them, and it's like if people ask me like, oh, like tell me about your friend Elizabeth, the last thing that'll be in my mind is her appearance. I'm just gonna tell all about her personality. So I hated that people just seem to have a lot of opinions about an outside feature of me. But again, it was just all negativity offered no hope. And recently, within the past couple like year or so, I finally got a hairdresser who listens to me, understands me, helps me, and just has opened me up to a lot more different hairstyles and stuff like that, and how to take care of my hair. Because I do have C hair, so like hair type also plays into like how you take care of your hair, obviously. And again, like I was never around people who who did their natural hair, so she really helps me with that. And right, I can say like now like it's not really an insecurity, but it is something that like, it took years to get to the point where I'm at now, and I just feel so like happy about that. So if you are in a similar boat as me, truly just find someone that you can trust, because there's been times I've been in hair salons and I just feel like they just basically are like berating me and just tell me like you're doing bad, 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 but they're not telling me like how to fix it. Like I'm not, if I was a hair care expert, I wouldn't be in your chair. You know what I mean? So yeah, I just really did a lot to my self confidence, I would say. And yeah, I just have, like I said, someone I've met now that really understands it, has helped me, and my hair, like my natural hair is like really good now. And I love doing like my braids and like any other styles that I've done that I haven't done before. I really like them. So I'm very happy with my hair journey of where it's at now. And I'm really excited to just try out even more like different hairstyles in the future. So yeah, that's my journey. And if you're in the same boat, like I said, especially if you're a Black girl, find someone you can trust. Don't listen to all those negative opinions, because they're just shallow. And just really, I would say just real, I'm not going to tell you to sit here and be like, go out and do the research on your own, because how are you supposed to know what to research if you don't know what to research from? So just really try to find a really trusted hairstylist that can really help you.
Making like texting you that your hair, that they're embarrassed to be around you, not only that, but that the moms had talked about it too, is insane behavior at 14 years old. That, wow, like you shouldn't do that at any age. But I thought, like, okay, like maybe like high schoolers are like mean, but like middle school, just like, oh, I can't even imagine like what was going through their heads to be able to even say like our moms have talked about it too. Like, bro, what? Yeah, anyway, that is like so bad.
Yeah, I know. And I feel like ever since then, it just made me just kind of like be like kind of disgusted. Cause like those weren't the only adults in my life who like said something. And then when I look back on it, I'm like, how sad that at your grown age, you're talking about a 14-year-old at the end of the day. A girl who is just like being a teenager. Being a teenager is hard enough, but then to have someone older kind of like talk about you but not help. So yeah, let's just say when I have kids, I would never do that to them, or I would never do that to their friend. And I would be like, try to come from like a helpful place. But yeah, that I feel like that situation probably explains a lot.
No, that explains like you really are like kids learn from the parents, and that just shows all of that. But like overall, honestly, I honestly think that you have like really like become more comfortable at this, because I didn't know that you felt insecure about your hair. But I remember like when you had your hair thing last year, when you were like, I look like a prisoner and everything. I was like, if you like, that really shows that like you've like, I don't want to say like overcome it completely, because I don't know, but like you've like overcome it. Yeah, overcome it more, because I feel like if you still had that like 14-year-old you, I feel like wouldn't have made those jokes type thing. But just really shows like how you can like overcome it, and then it just kind of like becomes like something you can laugh about later on.
Yeah, and I was like honestly surprised that I got as in depth with the story. I was going back and forth. I was gonna tell that story, but I'm like, that is like where my insecurity grew. And I always just thought like people are always looking at my hair and are gonna have something to say about it. But I'm just happy I've grown. I'm just like, my hair is what it is. And if you don't like, I just don't take people's criticism about anything about me ever to like heart, because it's like, why would you take criticism from people you wouldn't take advice from? That type beat. So yeah, we definitely have grown a lot. And even like that prisoner comment, it's like, even with that, because that hairstyle was like the first time I really kind of like, did something really different to that extent. And it's like eventually even that hairstyle like really grew on me, and I would definitely get something similar to that again. But yeah, it's just all about experimenting, and again having a hairstylist who listens to you and knows how to really take care of you and help take care of your hair and give you nice tips to take care of your hair. But yeah, I'm really proud of myself for how far I've gone and not letting other people's insecurities bring me down.
Period. And then my first one, mine are just kind of like not in any particular order, but like I'll evaluate how much they weigh on me. But my first one is just like body insecurity in general. And I feel like this is something that like in recent years, like college to like now and everything, is something that I've been like faced more. I feel like when I was younger, like my body and everything wasn't really like in insecurity, like I didn't really like compare my body to other people or anything, because I was always like, I don't want to say fit, but I was always like active is the word. I was always active, like doing sports and everything. So it was never something that I really like thought too much. I would like notice like how my body was different from other people, especially like running, because I feel like a lot of people that run, they tend to be a little bit more like flat chested and everything. And like, not saying that I have like a crazy amount over here because I don't, but like I felt like I had more than like the other person, but it was never something that like really I was like I felt insecure about, you know. But I feel like since college to like now, kind of like when you go through the like the second period, you know, and like your body kind of like goes from that like teenage body into like your womanly body, so like you have those changes that I feel like overall no one really talks about. Like it's kind of like, oh, you get your period and then after that like that's it, you know. But like it's your body's going to change, especially as a woman. Like you're going to get like more of like your curves, like get more of like the just everything that becomes like your womanly body because you're no longer a teenager. So I feel like that when I like got to college, I kind of like started like noticing that in my body, and it's something that's kind of like been in the back of my head kind of a little bit, you know, always. I feel like recently just of like my body is different now, and just kind of like it's not even like comparing my body to other people that much. It's more so like internally me like feeling like it's, I don't want to say off, but like it's not what I would like want it to be, but at the same time it's not like I'm not like starving myself or anything, you know. Like I'm like content with my body and everything, but I think always like sometimes in the back of my mind, especially I feel like I feel this all the time, like trying on new clothes, I feel like I notice like more of like what suits my body type now, and kind of like when you're wearing an outfit, like when the outfit is wearing you and when you're wearing the outfit, you know. So I feel like it's something that like in recent times recently I've been like really like coming to terms with, of just how like my body is now. I feel like my body's now at its like, I don't really think it's gonna like change more, you know, into like a more womanly body. I feel like I'm kind of like at the body type that I'm gonna have, and it's more so just kind of like figuring out like what works, what doesn't work, you know, because everybody's body type is different. And then I feel like sometimes this like insecurity I feel like comes out a little bit more when you see like the comparison a little bit, because you know comparison, I feel like with all insecurities, comparison truly is the thief of joy and everything. And just seeing sometimes like Instagram posts or things like that where you like start comparing yourself like a little bit, but it's always, I feel like for me it's just kind of like I kind of like centering myself and like being like, okay, like no, like we don't need to compare our body, like that kind of stuff. But yeah, I feel like my body is just something that like recently I've kind of been a little bit more insecure about, but at the same time just like putting yourself outside of that and really like centering yourself into like it's like normal for your body to change, it's normal to go through these changes and everything. And I feel like it's just something that like nobody talks about like your womanly body and all of those changes that like come about. So it's just something I feel like people need to talk more about, so like we're more aware and like okay with it.
Yeah, and I feel like that's definitely normal to just kind of feel uncomfortable in your body, maybe, and especially like just as you're growing. Because I feel like, especially with not even just social media, but just overall societal expectations for women, I feel like weirdly enough, there's like this weird expectation for like our body to just be like super thin, super this, and this, which is like a lot of us are probably are when we're teenagers because we're actual kids. But I feel like there's just weird, very underlying thing where like they kind of expect us to like stay in like a kid's body, which is really weird when it's like, no, we need to grow up and, you know, fill out a bit more. Like that's just what our body needs to do. So it's just like a lot of pressure and like, especially just comparing yourself to maybe people you like see all the time in person and just people online. And it's just like insane about the comparison thing, because it's like there are times where I'm just like, oh my gosh, like Liz's body is so T, but then she's like over here like I'm insecure about it. So it's just like, you really know, it's like you may be insecure about your body, but then other people could really appreciate your body, you know what I mean?
Yes, it always like I feel like just thinking of that like comparison, it's always like not in comparison, but just perspective, I think is the better word. Of that perspective of how I feel like, and that just applies to everything and not just like body. Like I wish I had that, and then that person like wished that they had something that you had, you know? Like it's always like that like perspective that you really have to put it into. And I feel like as like minorities and like women of color and everything, bodies also plays like another factor in just like the impact of like the ideal body for like your minority or like your race and everything, of like what you're supposed to look like, and feeling like you don't fit into that mold. So it's always like just like so many layers to it that you really just need to like take yourself out, I feel like, and just really like center yourself and be like okay, like no, like we don't need to like all that. But it's definitely something I feel like we all experience at some point and are still like experiencing in different ways.
And also with a lot of like things in with our body, like for example like BMI, like a lot of that doesn't really relate to like women of color because we tend, depending on where you're from, but I feel like a lot of women of color, they come from countries where it's like curves are celebrated. Like that's just how we're born. And the BMI was based off of like white men. So it's like, and like trying to be compared to that one, that's just like, there's so many things that go into how your body looks and all that type of stuff. So it's just like, you really just cannot compare because it's like, we do not fit under those European ideals. And like, that's the way it's supposed to be. And it's like, if you really go out to like other countries or stuff, maybe you'll see like, no, like you see more body types and stuff like that. And like, it's fine. And now my next insecurity is kind of piggyback off of Elizabeth. And it is my body, but like, I don't know how to like necessarily say what the problem necessarily is because my body, but in the sense of like, trying to stay the size that I am, but then also getting on myself in the moments where I like wish to be thinner at some points because like genuinely I think my early 20s like I have really have grown into my body and I think WKU definitely helped a girl out and generally I do like to stay active and I don't work out to ever like oh I want to look a certain way like obviously that's a benefit but truly when I work out like I love the feeling of breaking a sweat and I just internally I feel a lot better like my gut and all that stuff I have more energy blah 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 and I don't know, like, I just sometimes kind of freak out sometimes when it's like Liz said, trying on clothes. And it's like, this fits a little different since the last time I've worn it. But it's like, I'm working out as much as I always have. So, like, what's going on? You know what I mean? Bodies, like, my body fluctuates a lot as well. Like, everyone's body does, especially like women's bodies, you know, different times of the month, you're going to be more bloated than others. And it's like saying, pieces of clothing will fit me differently. It's not that they don't fit, they just fit me differently. Sometimes they might feel a little bit more snug, and then other times like, wait, why is this loose? You know what I mean? Just depending on where I'm at. And so like that can also be very confusing and kind of sends me into a spiral. I'm like, I never like don't really have an issue with my body, but now I'm like, wait, should I? Cause like things are going crazy. And so then I'm like, and I kind of tell myself, I'm like, no, it's fine. Like I can still fit into clothes that I wore like in high school or something, very few. But I'm like, oh, like everything's fine. But then I kind of question myself where it's like some things fit a little differently. I'm like, wait, what? So I'm just like trying to like get over that and not let that consume me. And then sometimes, I mean, I just can't help it, you guys. Sometimes I see some girls' bodies on TikTok or Instagram. I'm just like, wow, I would kill to have that body. But then I have to come to myself and be like, wait, do I really though? Like, I guess technically everyone could have the body they want, whether that's working out, surgery, or whatever. But I'm like, I like what I'm doing at working out. And like, if that, I probably have to do a lot more to get like the quote unquote ideal body, whatever that is, because it changes every couple of years. But I'm just like, at the end of the day, as long as I can like build muscle and have strong bones so I can still move in my older years, like that's honestly all I care about is creating the foundation for when I'm older. So I just need to kind of remind myself of that. And I just don't want to be that friend that's like constantly talking about their body and being like don't post this because I look big, which I beat myself up over that because I had one of those moments recently with my friends, which I hate that because I hate to be that person because I it's not that I hate people that do that, but it's just like, girl, like don't like stop. And like I hate that I got to that point because I'm never like that. And like I don't really talk about my body like that. But like I don't know. Recently, I feel like I've just been talking about it more. I'm like I need to stop that negative talk and just get back. I feel like once I get back into my routine of working out regularly, like mentally, that will help me. But like this weekend, or not this weekend, when we were together over Halloween, like there's this picture that I thought I looked big in, and I was like, oh my god, like don't post that, don't post that. And I was just like, ugh, like I hate that I was that person. But, you know, moving forward, I would just work on just not thinking about my body in that way and just work on doing stuff that makes me feel happy.
But it's also so real to like to feel that way, and I think it's so valid to feel that way too because I feel we all feel that way whether we voice it or like we don't voice it, you know, at times. It's like it is so real to feel that way. And like sometimes you do need to be like you're like your friends to like support you, like hype you up, and be like, no, you know, but like it's totally normal to feel that way as long as it like doesn't like dictate then like everything else. I feel like then that's like when the line is drawn or anything. But I think you brought up a really good point about the like our women's bodies like go through so many changes in the month, you guys. Like if something is going to fit you, and I have this happens to me all the time with jeans because some of my jeans I have like a little like button that you can add and like you like move the little hook, not the hook, the little loop, to tighten your jeans. So you don't have to like get new ones. And like sometimes like I'll put on a pair of jeans and like I'll do like the little button thing because I like it a little bit more snug. And then other times of the month, I don't need the button because they feel tight or they feel like okay on like the regular setting. So I'm like, I didn't do anything differently this week. Like, I didn't like necessarily like work out more, like not work out more. Like, I ate like pretty consistently. Like, I ate the same. So, like, sometimes I forget that like it's completely normal for my body to be in a different phase. And it just, like, internally it's going through stuff and externally it's going to show that too. And I feel like women, like, it's kind of just like, oh, like you get your period and that's it. But like it's a whole cycle and a whole like thing that goes on in our bodies, like constantly like changing everything. And I feel like even us as women that always are experiencing that, we forget about that. And even when we're trying on clothes, we like, why isn't this working? And it's because of that. And I think honestly, just like that's something like society has failed in everything. And like it wasn't until like that long ago when I learned that different workouts work better for you based on like what part of the cycle you're on and everything. That completely blew my mind. And it makes so much sense when you think about that stuff and like how it's going to affect your body and like what you're wearing and everything. And we just like kind of like overlook it, Like honestly, I am so bad about it where like I know this is happening, but like I don't really know. So I feel like that's something I need to educate myself on more so then I don't feel like those like insecurities when it comes to like my body over. And then oh my gosh. My next insecurity is not being enough. And I feel like this is one where it kind of like does play more of like a toll on me. And it is this insecurity that I do have more, especially I feel like at the point in my life where I'm at right now, where like I've like graduated, I'm figuring out like what's the next stage and everything. And I think I've talked about this on the podcast before about just like everybody's in completely different stages. Like you have friends that are doing grad programs, friends that are in the working field, friends that have full-time offers, like everybody, and not even friends. You see all this. You see all these people, acquaintances, people that you used to talk to. Some people are like moving abroad. Some people are moving across the country. Like everybody's doing completely different things. And I feel like I feel this even more of just like not being enough. And it's not like standards that like society puts on me necessarily because like yes there is those, but it's like internally I feel like I'm the one that's putting these standards on myself. It's like I like if I were to like paint a picture of it, it almost feels like you and then like there's like another you, like an older you, like yelling at you kind of like, oh, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. That's kind of like what it feels like in my mind at times. And it's like such an insecurity I feel like of just like not being enough or like not doing enough, of like not like meeting your full potential and that kind of stuff. And that just kind of like all gets jumbled up into like one big insecurity that I feel is so very common in your 20s to feel. And like there's a lot of those like self-help podcasts like Mel Robbins, like everything like your 20s and everything. And those podcasts truly, truly, honestly have like helped me personally, just like really like not even like necessarily give you advice, but just like know that like it's okay to feel that way and it's okay to feel that you're not enough. So I would like if you're feeling that way, if that's an insecurity that you're having or like just thoughts that you've had, I honestly highly recommend like all of Mel Robbins, like in your 20s or like that kind of thought, like anything 20s, I just go ahead and press play because she just like the way that she words it and like talks about it, it's like feel like she's like diagnosing me almost, like giving me like, oh, I'm like, oh wow, like that's exactly how I'm feeling. And that's just I feel like an insecurity that I've had recently. I feel like during college I've had that insecurity in general, but I feel like right now at the time of my life where I'm at, or like the point of my life where I'm at, I feel that insecurity even more. And it just like again, comparison is the thief of joy. And it really like I'm okay like where I'm at, like I'm okay like figuring out like what I'm doing and everything. But when I go into like that comparison game or like it always like comes into like the back of your mind. And I feel like sometimes like you can't even like help it. And that insecurity like happens. It's like where you find out you're scrolling on Instagram and you see like, I don't know, so and so is going to med school, so and so is doing this. And it's like always like just like a little thought that pops into your head. So I think just like really like putting things into perspective about how everybody's on different not minds. Everybody's on different timelines and everything. And it's okay to feel that way. And then just like you're gonna overcome it. And yeah, that's kind of like insecurity I've had recently a lot, especially with like everybody doing different things.
Yeah, and I would say going off like listening to those podcasts about like being in your 20s, I feel like also in your 20s there's the pressure of like being so like accomplished right away, but there's this podcast I listen to called House Guest by Kinsey Elizabeth, and she has podcast episodes about women who have found success later in life, and I feel like that can be really helpful to like, you don't have to have everything figured out by now. Like truly 20s is just like getting your foot into the door, and I feel like it just really helps to hear people who just like didn't really like find their passion or their footing or their millions or whatever until like their 30s, 40s, sometimes even 50s. Like we think that our 20s is like the only time we have to do all these life things, but that's just truly like that's just not true at all.
Yes, and like when you really put it into perspective, like your 20s is a quarter of your life, you guys. Like you still have three, like if you're living to 100, you still have like 3/4 of your life to go. And society and like everybody and just like you yourself, like is like, no, like I have to have it all figured out like now. Like by 25, I need to have it figured out, you know? And it's like, wow, like you haven't even lived half your life and like you need to have it figured out. Like, no, like you have time. Like now is the time to do it. And just like really putting that into perspective, like how long your human life is, and like you're literally a tiny way through it, you know? And it's like, wow, like it really just puts it all into perspective of like the insecurity with it.
And the streets are saying 30 is the new 20, so I'm gonna live by that. And then my next insecurity we're going to talk about is my personality. Now, this one, I would say this is one that I've had like lifelong insecurity, but it doesn't necessarily consume me, but it is something I am consistently battling to this day. I just honestly have trouble. I don't know. I just have trouble figuring out how to act around people. I kind of am insecure about how I might come off to people, how I might be perceived. Because it's like I feel like there are times where it's like I'm being myself, or I feel like people might. I don't know. I'll just explain. So I feel like there's times where I'm like really comfortable. I'm like might be a little loud because that's just who I am. Laughing, and then it's like people tell me to be quiet. You're being too loud. So then it makes me like, oh, like you don't like this side of me now. I have to be reserved. But then there's other times where it's like sometimes I really just am quiet, don't have much to say, and then people are like, what's wrong? Like, why aren't you being quiet? So it's like, I don't know how you people want me to act. Do you want me to be loud, happy, funny, go lucky, or do you want me to just be quiet and timid? And like, I'm both, but I feel like sometimes there can be some nuance missing. Like, people, I don't know how to describe it. It's just like, I can't ever act right. And so when it comes to how I showcase my personality, I'm kind of like hesitant. I don't know what to show to people. Obviously, it's all true to me, but it's like sometimes when I'm around people, I don't feel fully me because I'm like, I don't know how to like show myself to you right now. Like, yeah. So I would say that's something I'm just consistently battling. I don't know how you get over it. So if you know, let me know.
Yeah, that makes like so much sense. Like kind of like putting you like in a bubble and it's like you can't pop the bubble, or if you do, it's like that's not really you, you know?
Yeah, so comment down below, put it in the chat. How do I embrace my personality? JK, I feel like I definitely am like really good at that, but I do still find myself sometimes where it's like, wait, how am I supposed to act around you? But I don't know. It's a work in progress.
And that's the perfect segue into my next insecurity, kind of like picking off of Kennedy, but just like being my true self. I feel like overall, like similar to Kennedy, like I am very like I show my true self. I don't want to say like I'm being like fake because I'm not being fake, you know. But I feel like I'm very selective of the different parts of myself that I choose around different people, and kind of like Kennedy said, like sometimes like I don't know like not I don't want to say like how to interact, but like what to show of myself with different people, especially with people that you're just meeting and everything. It's kind of like, what do I show you? Like I'm gonna be myself because I am being myself, but like, do I show my full self? Do I not show my full self? Like, you know, like that kind of thing. And I think that's always been like an insecurity I've had, like just always like since I can remember, you know. And I feel like now, like when you're like in your 20s, you're like at this point where like you're meeting like people that could be like coworkers, you're meeting people that could be friends, you're meeting classmates, you're meeting like all these different people. I feel like I feel this insecurity even more, especially like also because you're meeting like friends of friends and like all this other stuff, you know. Like it's a lot of like meeting and like interacting with people, and similar to Kenny, just like figuring out like being my true self, because like I'm very comfortable with like who I am as a person. Like I don't want to change like who I am, but it's also just like an insecurity of like, what do I show? Or like, do I show too much? Do I show too little? And then just like And also just like the other side of it, like the receiving end, like if I show this, like how will it be like received, like how will it be reciprocated, that kind of stuff. So it's always kind of something like when I meet new people, I'm always kind of like very like aware of, kind of, I guess. I feel like in my head it's kind of like thinking of like if I do this and that's how that's gonna be, and then kind of like, not planning it because I'm not being fake or anything, but just kind of like insecurity that like you have in the back of your head of like what to show, what not to show, while also being true to yourself because you don't want to be fake. But it's just figuring out how to do that. And like Kenny said, I don't know. I haven't figured it out. So let us know.
And then my last insecurity is not making it. So this is kind of similar to what Elizabeth was talking about earlier, in some parts, but I don't know, sometimes I just feel very paralyzed by choice and just like decision and just like where to go next. Like, I know, like, I feel like I talk a big game. I'm like, I'm gonna move here. I'm gonna do this. My life is gonna be this. But I'm like, I really want to do that. But it's like, oh, what if I don't make it? Which I'm like, it's like I know my potential, but like getting myself to that potential is like very like overwhelming and scary. I'm just like, I don't even know where to start to get to where I want to be. And it's like, I feel very confident that I can make it, but getting it there, I'm like, wait, is this actually in my cards? Like, this is gonna be really embarrassing for myself if I don't make it. And especially because I feel like a lot of people, in a way, kind of have a lot of expectations of me. And I have very high expectations for myself. Like, I would say, like, my biggest goal that would be seen as making it in like the near future is like moving out and go and living in like a brand new city. And but then I'm like, oh, my bank account. How am I gonna get there? And I'm like, I always talk about it, and then I feel like if I end up, let's say, staying in Kentucky for a year or two to save money, I feel like that would maybe be like, oh, she didn't make it. Her dream's not happening. But it's like that's not what's happening. And I feel like that would also be letting myself down. And like I feel like it's more so me failing the expectations I set for myself. And I just sometimes there's like a disconnect somewhere between my mind, my body, and I don't know, and actions of just like getting things started and just like, I don't know. I just feel like there's so much going on and so much uncertainty with post grad life that it's just like, I thought I would have more clarity maybe while still being in school for this year, but it's just like, I feel like things are even more confusing, because I did take this year off to do more school, which I'm glad about. But then at a certain point, I'm like, well, what if I would have just did things differently in undergrad, blah, blah, and then I could have done this, this, and this. But I don't know. It's just, I don't really know how you really handle this insecurity of not making it because making it is different to everybody. I feel like a therapist would tell me like not to set so high expectations on myself, but like I just can't help it. I feel like there's a reason why we are born with these innate just like desires and stuff, because it's like we're like connecting with our future selves before we get there, but we're kind of like in the process of it. In the process, they say trust it. I'm trying real hard to. I'm trying real hard to, and it's tough right now. I ain't even gonna lie, but listen, I've just gone to the point where I just take things day by day. But then in a couple months, I'm gonna have to start applying to jobs and stuff. And it's like where do I apply to jobs? In the city I would want to move to, or like local near me because I don't have no money to move. Like, what does that even look like? So yeah, I hope that all made sense. Um, Again, hashtag therapy in the chat. Tell me how to fix this.
No, because that's like so relatable, especially the part you said about it's embarrassing if like I don't make it, like you talk all this game, but then you didn't make it. Yeah, I totally understand that, Katie. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, honestly. I don't know what to tell you. I just know it won't be embarrassing because, if it will work out in a different way, or it will work out in a way. But no, with me at least, nothing to be embarrassed about.
Thank you. I feel safe here.
And then my last insecurity, I didn't put it on our things because I couldn't think of what I was going to do. I was like, which one of the many do I choose? And it finally came to me. I was like, let me talk about this. Okay, so my next and final insecurity is just like, I feel like my friends listening to this are going to be like, yep, it's photography, you guys. I hate being the center of attention in general, just like always, like growing up, I never liked like attention on me. Like I never wanted to be like the person, I don't know, like the group leader, like if it was like decided like silently, but I was never the person that was like, like when they put you in the groups and like you automatically like take control, take reign, all attention. Like I was never that person. I would much rather be like a background character and like do things behind the scenes than be like the leader at the front of it. So I never like attention on me as is. Like even like when you go to restaurants and everybody's like singing happy birthday to you, I absolutely hate that, you guys. I hate it so much. But I just don't like attention on me. So I feel like when it comes to like taking pictures, my friends know about this. I like feel like I lock up and like I first of all like posing, I don't know how to pose, you guys. Like I truly like I don't know, I feel like I just feel like so like tense almost. And it's just like all like attention on me in that moment. I'm like, I can't do this, I kind of like freeze up. I'm like, okay, that's it. No more photos. So that's like kind of, and it's not even like a body insecurity because it's not. It's more so like I just don't like all the attention on me, particularly like candidates and everything. Like I do like candidates and everything because it's in the moment, like you don't like attention isn't necessary. You don't even know that the photo is being taken. But like when it becomes like a photo shoot and like everyone's attention is on you and like what you're doing, it feel like it just doesn't work out for me. I feel like I don't know, I just get like very, and it's not like I said, it's not insecure about my body. I don't know, like, and it's not insecure about attention either. I don't know what it is, but I just know it's like something that I need to like do more of, I feel like, so I get more comfortable. I think that's what it is. I just feel like very like uncomfortable in the moment, so I like don't know what to do. But I think that the way to, I haven't figured it out, but I'm assuming I need to put this into action, and Kennedy can hold me accountable here of just like doing it and then just like, like doing more of it, and then hopefully I'd be more comfortable. I don't know. But sometimes I do wonder like later on in the future, like when I like if I have a wedding or something, I'm like, what am I supposed to do like during the photo shoot hour, you guys? Because I don't like photos being taken of me like 24/7. And then that's like a moment where all the attention is on you. So I need to figure it out. So when I get there, I don't have to worry about it. But that's just like one insecurity that I feel like is an insecurity, but it's not insecure. I don't know. What is it, you guys? Let me know.
I feel like maybe it's because you don't know how to pose, so it just gives you a lot of anxiety in the moment. Because it's like we're all here, we're ready, we're like Liz pose, and then you're just like I don't know how to pose. So I feel like maybe if here's what I used to do or what I do because I still don't know how to pose. I'd be like, tell me how to pose, guys. It's like I really just honestly just study YouTubers or not YouTubers. Well, yes, influencers. That's the word I meant to use. It. I love their photos and just look to see how like they pose and trying to imitate it and like see what will look best for me, like literally in the mirror at home. Especially like if I'm about to go out, I'm like I might pose in the mirror too and be like, oh, this could be a cute pose. Now will I actually do it? Maybe not, but it's just I don't know. Just get more comfortable. I feel like that just helps yourself get more comfortable with like posing and like what poses look good on you and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think I need to like set up my phone because I'll do like Snapchat vlogs and stuff, like, oh, here's my OTD. I'll set this up and just like pose. It won't get posted nowhere though. But maybe that's like what I need to do a little bit more of. Just I think it's like, can you say just like getting like comfortable with it all.
And just embody the energy from like those cool girl like outfit fit check videos on TikTok and they'd be like posing, 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 and then just copy that.
If you guys see like my Instagram that just suddenly like start getting lots of pictures and everything on there, no, I'm overcoming this insecurity, you guys, one step at a time.
And Liz has the potential to be the Pinterest it girl with her outfits, you guys. So trust, we will be helping her get to that journey.
What Kennedy said. And with that, you guys, that is the end of our episode. You guys heard not all of our insecurities, because trust, we have many more insecurities, but you heard some of them. You heard like a little surface of it all. Not necessarily surface level, but you heard some of them. Anyways, thank you guys so much for listening. Comment down below your thoughts. Do you guys struggle with these insecurities? Maybe you have some tips and tricks for us to overcome them. Anything, all the feedback is welcome here. But without further ado, thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. We'll see you guys next week. Make sure you guys following all of our socials because we're getting it together, you guys. No more rest. Rest is over, and we are going to be posting, getting back on it. But we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.